during that period, back in Los Angeles, I was very involved, along with DeVita and other radical friends, protesting the Contra War in Nicaragua, as well as American military involvement in El Salvador, and we formed a Wednesday morning coalition, and we shut down the federal building every Wednesday morning in downtown Los Angeles, and we spent the rest of the day in jail. And eventually, as so often happens to criminals, you have to come to court and pay up. And so eventually I came to court, and I drew a very sympathetic woman judge who was exasperated. I'm arrested under my real name, and I have no ID under Sheen, so it's Ramon Estevez. She said, Ramon, what am I going to do with you? You're determined to protest and end up in jail all the time. It's not going to help me to send you back. Would you do some community service? I will, I said. Okay. She sent me down to Venice, California. A new homeless kitchen, so-called soup kitchen, was opening there, called Bread and Roses. And it was a unique place because there were tables set up with flowers, and you had to have a reservation. That was so that they didn't cook too much or not enough. And it was a very successful, it's still going today. If you get down into Venice and in Los Angeles, just go to, it's on Rose Avenue, right near the Venice Family Clinic, which incidentally DeVita Cody helped establish. But she sent me there with 200 hours of community service. I worked it off in 6 months. I stayed for 10 years. It was one of the great jobs of my life, and I only left it to begin my career on the West Wing. I know you're going to be running for the door at 9 o'clock. If you have to go earlier, please don't hesitate. I'm an actor. I'm used to people walking out while I speak. We have homeless people in America today because in large measure, we have no real living wage, no universal health care, disintegrating communities, and a large population of working poor who can end up on the street if they lose one of their part-time jobs, experience a serious illness, or an accident, or have a domestic crisis. I'm not foolish enough to pretend, or I'm certainly not smart enough to suggest I have the answers for any of our problems we face today. But I do believe this. Whether we acknowledge it or not, we are all responsible for each other and the world, which is exactly the way it is, because consciously or unconsciously, we've made it so. And while none of us are responsible for the rules that govern the universe, we are all responsible for the individual rules that govern our own individual hearts. And we are all beneficiaries of a divine assurance that the world is still a safe place despite our fears, and that we in it are not asked to do great things. We are asked to do all things with great love. Now, such a lofty ideal is rare in a culture of so many compromised values and so much cynicism, a culture that all too often knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. And yet there remains a very real and mysterious yearning deep within every human heart that compels us to journey outside of ourselves by descending deeper within. For some, this inward journey may be a natural progression. For some, it may be a sudden shift. For some, it may be the result of a near-death experience or a dead-end realization. For some, it may be less a journey than a pilgrimage. It does not matter how we define it or when it begins, but it is absolutely essential that it continue, because it is only here where we can come to know ourselves in deeply revealing ways that confirm our worth and define our purpose. It is here where we are forced to acknowledge our powerlessness so that we can begin to realize how truly powerful we are. It is here where the ego befriends the truth, and we are free to visualize for the very first time those small conscious acts of heroism that bring rejection from the crowd and satisfaction from the heart. And it is here, into this demented inn, where there is absolutely no room for it at all, that the mystery is invited to lift us out of ourselves towards the path that unites the will of the Spirit to the work of the flesh. The Irish tell a story of a man who comes to the gates of heaven and asks to be let in, and St. Peter says, of course, just show us your scars. The man said, I have no scars. St. Peter says, what a pity. Was there nothing worth fighting for? However we perceive the purpose of our journey or the route we final twilight, when we must confront the reality of that undiscovered realm from which no traveler returns, the only things we can take with us are the things which we cherished and gave away with love. I'm so honored to have been here this morning and to have had this opportunity to share this moment. I cannot urge you stronger to support Shelter Network. In effect, you're supporting yourself and your future. There's an old Hebrew adage that comes to mind. He that hath offspring giveth hostages to the future. Shelter Network is our future. Thanks so much.